What's up, man? Heading to Seattle, doing this personal branding talk. This is gonna be live. VMware, they do like cloud-based shit, so this is gonna be fun. Going to see them, talking about branding, and it'll be good because I switched up the entire presentation. So I added different components to it, made it more geared towards what they do, and it'll be good to test it out. And Seattle's always a good idea. Bellevue, especially. I love it up there. What's up, you guys? We made it up to Bellevue. We're here, we got some time. What's a Bellevue trip without shopping? They're at one of my favorite stores, Suit Supply. This jacket's actually from there. They got some dope suits, man. We gotta come check it out. Come on. Man, we just left Burberry. You know, I'm wearing Burberry. So had to come here, check it out. We got some time before our presentation. And now we better go grab a bite to eat, get over there, set up, get a tour at the office, and then get it going, man. So we've arrived, VMware, downtown Bellevue. We're about to go in, get a tour of the facility, and then presentation at 2, man. Personal branding. It's gonna be lit. We downtown Bellevue, see the water. That's me. I was actually running a credit card processing company. I was in the industry for like 8 years or so. I'm actually a numbers guy, which is kind of like, people look at me like, numbers and fashion. I think it makes sense now, but I was running my own credit card processing company. And at the time, the perception within the industry was bad. People thought, you know, it was kind of like a snake oil salesman to a certain degree. And so I'm thinking, okay, there was 2 things that happened. One, I hated cold calling, hated it with a passion. 2, I wanted to update my brand. And so I figured I'm gonna start networking with people. I'm gonna start meeting people face to face and meeting people at networking events and, you know, those type of engagements. But I'm gonna start dressing up, because I want to give myself an advantage over everyone else. I'm either going to start wearing a suit every day or a tie. And that in Portland is a big deal. I don't know if it is here, but they see me in a suit and tie and they're like, it's Tuesday, where are you going? Where are you from? And I'm like, this is me, it's my business, it's Tuesday afternoon. Coincidentally, is it Tuesday? It's Tuesday afternoon. And so I started picking up business, and that business is growing. You look like an executive, then you get the position. Just like when you're trying to lose weight, right? You don't start looking like a person that has an 8-pack. You start eating better, working out, and then the residual impact of that is you get in better shape. An attractive personal brand equates to a good first impression, right? That's what we're talking about, initial impressions, and then it's up to you to build upon that. A good first impression equates to opportunity. Opportunity equates to money. So essentially what I'm talking about is you elevate your personal brand, the end result is you play your cards right, you have opportunity to make more money. So again, this is me. This is actually before I worked with the Street of Dreams. And this is kind of alluded to how I kind of got the job. But they said, come to this chili event. They have events all the time. They say, come to this chili cook-off, right? You're a stylist now. This is early 2015. They're like, maybe you can be a part of the show 2016, right? So I show up. Again, I'm wearing a pink shirt. It's warm. Cobalt blue chinos. Those red loafers were like, good luck. So I wore them again. And I show up, and literally the lady's like, you're the stylist I heard about, right? Mind you, I've only did like 1 show in my life. Haven't taken on clients yet, but I showed up and presented myself accordingly now, and I'm with a whole bunch of builders, and so they're dressed up differently, so I'm standing out a little bit. But she takes me around, and everyone is like, you're the stylist, we want you to come on board, and that's essentially how I got the job. Someone recommended me, a relationship I had within the chamber. I showed up, and they offered me the position. So, tell people all the time, again, especially being in the Northwest, they're like, you know, do we have to dress up? Does image really matter? You know what I mean? I do a lot of work with brands or companies that are doing galas or events. And notoriously, like, black tie or after 5 is different in the Northwest than it is anywhere else in the country. So they hire me to actually say what the dress code is. That's applicable to our event based in this area. But, so I get questions all the time, like, do you have to dress up? Like, is your image really that important? I say, absolutely not, right? You don't have to dress up. It's not a requirement. We've seen tons of people that are successful. They don't dress up. You look at their image. It's not someone that you would aspire to be like. But what I will say is, I utilize it as a tool. It's no different than anything else. So my point is, why make it harder for yourself, right? If you can utilize your image as another stepping stone to get you to the position you want to have or aspire to the career you want, then why not utilize it to your favor? Because regardless of what we want to buy into the idea or not, we're built to make snap judgments, right? We're built, that's like a defense mechanism. Like we're built to look at people and say, okay, this is what they are. And so if I can use that to my advantage, why not? When you're up close in person, details are more important, right? So if I'm at an event, I'm gonna show out. I'm gonna dress up a lot. If I'm face to face, and I have the ability to engage with someone one-to-one, I don't need to be crazy eccentric, but I'm gonna have the time, they're gonna pay attention to the details. Those when the accessories make a difference. That's when you wanna wear specific brands or pocket squares. So just understand, if you wanna make an impression, understand what your audience is, what you're doing, and then do it accordingly. Anybody familiar with the 95-5 rule? So it kind of talks to your point with the Birkenstocks, right? So essentially, if you go to an event, networking after hours, concert, symphony, 90% of the people will be dressed accordingly, right? They'll meet the dress code, nothing crazy, nothing out of the box, just pass on through. 5%, we wear Birkenstocks. And they'll be the ones, I can't believe I got dressed up and he's in Birkenstocks and whatever. And then there's the 5% that are actually dressed up. What's funny is the majority, the 90%, those are people that don't get noticed, right? You remember the Birkenstocks. You don't remember the guy that actually had a black suit on that looked decent. You remember the Birkenstocks, or you remember the guy that's really dressed up, or the lady that's really dressed up. And so, how do you then stand out in the crowd? You have to be in the 5%. You don't want to be in the other 5. You're going to be in the 5 that are elevated. I always say, when you want to get noticed, wear something noticeable. So if I'm going to an event and I'm trying to make an impression, I'm going to dress up a little bit more. Like I'm literally, so the other day, I just did that event last Saturday for the Home and Garden show. I'm there, I'm talking to a realtor. We're talking about this, right? I'm like, yeah, everyone's dressed whatever. They're not noticeable, whatever, I see them. Now, when you go to an event, typically you're gonna have 2, 3, 5 conversations. And I'm telling him this, I'm like, you know what, so I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna talk to a couple more people before I leave. But everyone here will notice that I was here because I made an impression on them based upon what I was wearing. We pay more attention than we like to think of, but we only notice the regularities. So that's why we notice people that are either dressed down or overdressed. I said, that doesn't matter what you do. So if you are at a tech conference, if you're at a software after hours an event, again, the bar is lower, but the person that actually dresses up a little bit, the impression is still made the same. So the ROI on that impression is the same whether you're in the tech industry or whether you're a salesperson, right? So Louis, I'm telling him this. A couple of minutes later, I'm getting a drink at the bar. Client comes up to me, a prospective client. She thought she emailed me, didn't think I replied. I replied back to her. Literally, she's like, when you walked in, my friend was like, who is this guy that walked in? It happens to everybody. Like I've got so much business because of making an impression, and I didn't even realize I was making an impression.
Each other better before it's going